So this guitar currently has 14 to 62 gauge strings on it. And it's not because I play slide. It's not because I'm trying to show off or to be like Stevie Ray Vaughan on steroids. This is why. So in case you couldn't tell, the reason why I have super thick strings on this is because I have this guitar tuned down quite a bit lower than normal E standard tuning. Specifically, it's in C standard. So that's not open C, it's not an open tuning or anything. It's just standard tuning, but 2 whole steps lower than normal. So it's the same intervals and everything. Your chord shapes are all going to be the same, you know. Your scale shapes and everything are all the same. So you play everything in exactly the same way as you would in standard tuning. It's just that everything is shifted lower. And I've been having a ton of fun messing with low tunings lately, mainly C standard and D standard. So that's what we're going to talk about for today's video. Why and how I started using low tunings and how you can start using them as well. So let's get to it. So why have I started using low tunings? Well, first thing is, I feel like in the last 5 to 10 years or so, there has been a little bit of a low tuning movement, specifically among musicians who are not metal players, because metal guitarists have known about these low tunings for a long time. It's just everyone else is kind of catching up now. And that's not to say that no one ever used low tunings outside of metal until recently. Of course, there are all kinds of famous examples sprinkled throughout music history. And I'm sure there are plenty of relatively unknown or niche players out there who have made low tunings their main thing. But to me, it seems like the popularity of it has ramped up a lot over the last few years. You have players like Ariel Posen using B standard, so that's essentially baritone tuning, but on a normal guitar. You have Joey Landreth playing in open C primarily. Madison Cunningham uses C standard, and that's just to name a few modern examples. There are definitely more out there. And there are several reasons why low tunings are so much fun to mess with. First and foremost, tuning lower forces you to think and play differently. Because even though all of your chord shapes and everything and all your scale shapes are the same, everything is shifted down in pitch, so that means to play in the same keys that you normally do, you have to change the positions on the neck and the areas on the neck that you play in, and that just forces you to think differently. It can inspire you to make different choices than you would have before in standard tuning, and can help you to get out of a rut if you're just feeling kind of stale or stagnant in your playing. Tuning your guitar lower will also change its overall tone and timbre. In my opinion, it seems like it kind of opens it up a little bit. It makes it fuller sounding. It lets the guitar kind of breathe a little bit more, if that makes sense. Like, it just feels like it just kind of can, on most guitars, it just makes for a really pleasing, rich, full tone. I mean, just listen to... It's just a beautiful sound. And that combination of making you play in different positions and kind of that shift in tonality makes it have its own kind of unique space in a mix, and can be a really cool addition to a band or a mix or a song that already has a guitar in standard tuning or other instruments involved that are in kind of a higher register. And if you do it right, then it won't step on the bass and it'll just add so much to a track. All right, so it's a few hours later. Sorry for the costume change and the continuity break there. I had to go out and do a few things. But anyway, let me show you guys how you can spice up your playing and spice up the songs you're playing by having a low-tuned guitar. So what I'm going to do is record a quick little track. It's going to be the song Angel from Montgomery. I'm just going to play a quick version of the verse and then the chorus. And what I'll do is first play a track as if I was in standard tuning. And how I'm going to do that is I'm still going to use the same guitar, but I'm going to put a capo on the 4th fret. Because remember, this is in C standard right now, which is 2 whole steps lower than E standard. So now when I go play my normal E-shaped chord, now it's an E, just like in standard tuning. So first, I'll go ahead and record my standard tuning track. So as you can see, we're just keeping it really simple. The verse is just 1, 4, 5, 1, and the chorus is 1, flat 7, 4, 1. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put my capo on the 2nd fret, which this is going to simulate D standard tuning. So when I play this E-shaped chord right here, it is a D major. And we're going to play the same chords, of course, but now that we're in this lower tuning, we can use different shapes and different voicings to give kind of a bigger, more complex sound when you put the two together. So now my 1 chord is going to be here. So that's our D major. Then our G major is here. Then our A major is there. Then back to our D major, our 1 chord. And then our chorus is going to go 1, flat 7, which is a C major, 4, which is a G, and then back to 1. So. So as you can hear, when you put those 2 guitar tracks together, it makes for a big, rich, full sound, especially when you pan the 2 guitars to right and left. And that's all just from playing slightly different voicings of the same chords and having access to a little bit lower of a register. So now we're going to try it one more time. I'm going to delete the D standard track, and now I'm going to take the capo off. So we're going to be in full C standard now. And I'm going to do the exact same thing. Let's see how that sounds. So that one wasn't too terribly different, except for when we got to our C chord, our flat 7 chord on the chorus. I was able to play this big, thick E shape chord, which is a C major, but you get the idea. Just tuning your guitar a little bit lower can give you so many different options for the way you play chord progressions in songs. And that was a pretty simple song. You know, with more intricate chord progressions, there are near infinite options for what you can do with this. And in the same way that it can change how you play chords, it can also change how you solo over songs. So I have this Les Paul here that's actually tuned to normal standard tuning. For example, if I was going to solo over that tune, Angel from Montgomery, in standard tuning, then the first place I'm going to jump to is going to be kind of to this D major pentatonic sort of area right here. And on the verse, you can kind of make it a more of a major scale thing. Right, and then when it goes to the chorus, because of that C major chord, then you can hit that kind of mixolydian, that flat 7. Right, so that would be kind of like a typical solo over that song, right? And of course, you know, I have the entire guitar neck. I can go anywhere I want to as long as I know the neck. But we as guitar players, especially in the realm of blues and rock, kind of have our go-to areas that we like to stick to depending on whatever key we're in. And in the key of D, that spot, that box right there is kind of a nice central kind of position to go off of. But as soon as you tune to a lower tuning, that all changes. So let's pretend we're in D standard for a minute. So I'm going to put my capo back on the 2nd fret here. And, you know, of course, we could kind of try and find that same box that we were just in standard tuning, but with this guitar. So in this case, that would be up here. And that's totally okay, but now that we're in this different tuning, why not take advantage of some other positions that we have available to us? So the first thing that comes to mind for me with this tuning, since the song is in the key of D, is I can now use this kind of open position right here from this E shape. So when I'm soloing over that tune, I might go something like this. So I'd go... and so on, right? I don't have to just stay in this area down here, but this is available to me now, and it gives me a whole different kind of realm of opportunities to solo in. And same thing when we take the capo off and are now in C standard. So that kind of opens up this sort of area, which it's still this kind of same register, but it's a different kind of scale position than you would have played before. So now I might play something like this. So spend some time with it. What I would recommend is take some songs that you already know and learn the chord progressions to them in the new tuning. I wouldn't recommend trying it on the bandstand. I've tried it a few times recently, and sometimes it works and sometimes it's just absolutely train wrecks. So work on it at home. Just transpose songs that you already know and find some kind of new positions to play the chords to whatever tunes you're working on. And then same thing for soloing. With whatever tunes that you normally solo over, find the positions that kind of make the most sense for this tuning for whatever key the song is in, and then just kind of explore, see what happens. You know, if normally you were playing a song in the key of F and you would be down here in standard tuning, now you can be up here. And you have all kinds of new options to play with in that key. And finally, to bring it back around to the beginning of the video, let's talk about string gauges. So like I said in the beginning, this guitar currently has 14 to 62 gauge strings on it. If you look up, say, Ariel Posen's string gauge, then you'll see that he has 17 to 64, I believe. Joey Landreth uses like 19s or something crazy like that, but you have to think about string tension. If you put 14s or 17s or 19s on a guitar and tune it up to standard tuning, then you're going to have problems. The tension is going to be insanely high. It's probably going to be pretty much unplayable. You could potentially damage the guitar, so don't put ultra heavy strings like that on your guitar if you're in E standard tuning. But on the flip side of that, if you use 9s, 10s, or 11s in standard tuning and then tune your guitar way down to C standard, B standard, something like that, then you'll notice that your strings are super floppy and you can't really dig into them and they're just way too loose. So that's where the heavy string gauges come in. The lower you're tuning your guitar, the heavier your strings should be. When I'm in standard tuning, I always use 11s, and so that's kind of my frame of reference for string tension. So when you put 14s on a guitar and then tune it down to C standard, to me, it feels roughly the same as 11s in E standard. So as you can see, I can still bend strings perfectly fine, but the strings are heavy enough to where when I want to play slide, I'm not hitting the frets. So it's all about finding that kind of happy medium, that sweet spot. So if you go down to C standard, I would say 14s are a good starting point. If you find that those are a little bit heavy, then I would say go with 13s, but personally I wouldn't go any lighter than that for C standard. But you might even find that you prefer 15s or 16s because, again, 14s really don't feel all that tight. And if you're going down to D standard, then I would say 12s or 13s are a pretty good sweet spot. So it may take a little bit of experimentation, but just go ahead and explore, find what tunings you like the best, just have fun with it. And if you let any of these low tunings kind of pull you in the directions that they want to pull you musically, then you may find that you'll come up with some cool, new, fun ideas. All right, so that does it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you could please like, comment, subscribe, and click the bell notification icon to get notified whenever I post new videos. That would help out my channel a lot. I offer private lessons, so if you want to have a private Zoom lesson with me, then feel free to sign up at the link in the description. And until next time, take it easy.